everyone, and welcome to one of our lovely Luna book launches. And tonight I am here with John Dodd. Welcome, John.
Hi, Francesca. How are we doing?
We are good. We are good. And I hope from wherever you are watching us that you're also all well and healthy. So tonight we are giving you a preview of our amazing novel coming up on the 12th of April, Oceans of Stars by John Dodd.
Hi, my name's John Dodd. I'm the author of Ocean of Stars. Been writing for more years than I care to remember. Yeah, it's my first published novel. I've been written in various other genres before then. I wrote for games. I've wrote for a number of other things. Used to work for short stories. I had a number of those done, but I've never had a novel published. And it's
exciting.
Scary. Don't ever let anyone say. Someone says exciting, they're misinterpreting the feel that they've got. It's terrifying, is what it is. So that's what it is. Simple as that.
I'm sure authors, especially for your first novel, I think people can sympathize with that. Absolutely fabulous. Well, John, you mentioned obviously that you've been writing in a lot of other genres as well, and of course, John released with Luna Press last year his very first novella called Just Add Water, and you can still explore the novella. It's part of our Luna novella series, and in fact it was the second one that was ever released. So we also have a book launch for that with the other authors that were released the same year as you, John, and you can obviously watch the Luna novella book launch for the first 6 novellas. Is still on our channel, so you can go and watch that one. So speaking about your writing, John, interesting. Before we go to the Oceans of Star, I would like to ask you about something that kind of stuck in my mind because it came about just around the time we met for the first time, through conventions, of course. But it was about the fact that you introduced yourself and you were talking about the 1,000,000 words a year. Can you tell us more about that? Because I think that is fascinating and it's certainly a feat of endurance.
That's certainly one word for it, yeah. Lunacy, that's what it is. In 2013, I was with a book group and I was thinking at the time, and as you do, you idly think about these things. And I said, well, I think it'd be possible to write 1,000,000 words in a year. To which, of course, the other guys went, no, it's not possible. No. No, I've done the numbers. It's not that bad. It's about 2,750 words a day. That's not so bad. A number of people say they do that. I'm sure we can manage that. That's not a problem. They went, no, it's lunacy. I'm like, no. It'll be fine. We'll do that. No worries. So in 2014, I started. Anyone who says that 2,750 words a day is easy is lying. Badly.
But you did manage.
I did manage. On December 24th at 1308 hours of the day, I remember it perfectly at the time because I had to delete 7 words. And then I had to call my wife. And then I had to type in those 7 words and go, done. And then I got to take the rest of that day off. And then the problem was behind it is because I've been writing 2,750 words a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, but every day for a year. So it came to Christmas morning, I came downstairs, I said the dinner going, and then immediately started typing again. I was like, no, you don't have to do that anymore. But the simple truth, you can't stop yourself at that point because you've spent a year doing it. And so I managed to get in total 6 novels out of it.
Now that is what I suppose, the purpose of it is get you into a certain routine, I suppose, But actually, John, now that you've mentioned, that is also interesting because I think nowadays, especially with coronavirus, which it's something that has obviously added a lot of extra responsibilities to the life of people, even when they were at home, in fact, and not traveling to work. But I think when I first started writing, I remember the famous things about, try and write a little bit every day to get yourself into a routine. But I also heard, I think more of late, a lot of people saying, actually, do you know what? You don't need to do that anymore. I think you should just, write when you can, write when you
Mm.
feel, write when you want. Now, I understand that obviously what you were doing was a different kind of things, because it was also a personal challenge, I suppose.
Mm.
But in general, what do you think in terms of getting yourself in a healthy routine? What do you think today, after having done what you've done, that perhaps is the things you would recommend the most?
Being honest, having done 2,750 words a day, never going to forget that number. Never. It's indelibly burned in here now. But after having done that, you realize that after a while, you don't have to do that. Now, it took me the best part of a year to get out of the habit of doing that every damn day. But the truth is, you write when the mood takes you, unless you're on a contract, unless you've got deliberately, you need to finish this by this date.
Sure.
You don't worry about the things because the story will come whenever it does. And in these days, in these times, there's so many other narratives going on. There's so many other things that take your attention. And you'd think, sitting at home, there you are, you sat at home all the time in the world. Simply not true. Somehow the world has speeded up, even as we're supposed to have slowed it down. We're supposed to be locked up. We're supposed to be there. We're at home. We're not supposed to be doing anything else. And yet we are, because we're desperately trying to fill the rest of the world with all the things that we used to do when we used to go out. And a number of creatives I've known have said, well, it's becoming increasingly more difficult because previously you'd go out, you'd have your notebook with you, you'd have your pen with you, no problem at all. You'd wander past something, go, oh, wait, that. And there was the idea straight away. And you've got an idea and then you can write it up. Whereas if you're sitting here, this has been my reality for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
This is my daily commute. This is my movement around the place. This is everything else. Whether I'm at my day job, my writing job, my convention job, anything, it's all here. And so for me, it's a case of be kind. But be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Recognize that you don't need to do that. And in some cases, if you just sit there trying to force it out, ask any writer. Trying to force it, and we'll come on to that later, it doesn't work. Yeah. The story's either got to be there and it's coming out, or it's not.
No, I definitely, John. I think a lot of writers would really, really understand your message here, and it's true. We have to be kind to ourselves. I like the way you've put it, and that's exactly the reality. That's true. So when you were writing your million words, was Ocean of Stars something, an idea, or one of the novels that came out of that year?
It was. I wrote, in total, there were 6 novels. And of those novels, I wrote The Shift first, World War Wolf, shortly after that one, In Ironclad, shortly after that one. Ocean of Stars was the 4th novel that I started writing.
Okay, tell us about the inspiration behind this book then.
I love the idea of sailing. I love the idea of being out in the vast open, in the uncharted wilds. I love the idea that there are things out there that we don't see. You see maps of the old world. I love maps. I have a map of the actual Ocean of Stars over there. My wife did it for me. But I love the bit where it says, "Here be dragons." And I love that because no one went past that bit. We had no idea what was past that bit. So they put "Here be dragons." And they put that there so that no one would try and get past it. And so no one would know that we didn't know what was past it because there's dragons here. So don't go there. But what if you did? What if you went and you looked for the dragons? What if you weren't worried about the dragons? What if you wanted to know why the dragons were there? And what if you had a whole universe to play in? Which I did. And I wanted that. I wanted to know what went beyond the dragons. I mean, there's a place in Ocean of Stars called the Dragon, and they do indeed go past it. And I wanted to go exploring. I love the idea of exploring, of finding places, of doing things, of being somewhere where you've never been, of where no one's ever been. No, I'm not quoting Star Trek at this point in time, but seriously, who wouldn't?
It's true.
And that's, yeah.
So that's a very good inspiration, to discover what lies, beyond something. The journey to write this book, though, what kind of journey it was?
It was, I think James Cameron put it best, it was 25 miles of bad road. Because Ocean of Stars was one of those books where you start writing, you think, yep, no problem at all. It'll be simple, no worries. What you'll have is you start here and it's a merchant vessel and you travel here and you're delivering cargo to here. No problem at all. Dead easy. Not a problem. That shouldn't be hard to write at all. It isn't. It isn't. And then an interstellar tyrant appeared round about here. And then a space dragon appeared round about here. And then galaxy-eating beasts arrived here. And then and then a revolution. And then a world at war. And then Mars exploded. And it just wouldn't stop. So it wasn't... A journey is where you and the horse are working together. And you're on the back of the horse. And the horse goes where you want it to. Perfect. No problem at all. As anyone who's ever had a horse will realize, they don't always do that. Sometimes they decide they're going that way. Mm-hmm. And that's 500 kilos of horse going that way. The chance of you pulling him back on track, zip. Okay. No chance whatsoever. So in the million words, I got 50, 60,000 words of it. Mm-hmm. And then it went another way, and then it went another way. And I stopped because I realized that at one point in time, I'd spent 2 weeks trying to get the next words out. Okay. So put that in perspective, I was 27,000 words behind because I was desperately trying to get the next words on Ocean of Stars out. And they weren't coming because I'd lost control of it. And I put it away for the rest of that year. And I came back to it 2 years later and I kept on going. And then the new stories came in. And then it was you. And you said, no, actually, I want to see how that ends. And that gave me the impetus. And I remember I gave you the synopsis of it and the idea behind it and everything else. And you said, yep, no problem, that's brilliant. And the second book, no problem at all. So I finished that up, no danger. And then I got to the third part of it, the final part of the story where it all comes through. And I realized that it had run away again. And I had to come back to you and I said, that third bit might not entirely be what I said it might. And you, God love you, said, that's okay, just write it. And I finished the rest of that book in 3 weeks. Dead easy. Because I was no longer bound to the idea of what I told you it was going to be. And yeah, so the journey, kicking and screaming. Absolutely kicking and screaming. It didn't, no. It knew where it wanted to go. It knew. I couldn't stop that. I tried several times. The whip didn't work, the lightsaber didn't work, the gun didn't work, nothing worked. And so you just let it run away and get to where it is, which is what happened. So, yeah, the journey was... it
was a tough one, but it was worth it. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that I think this is very important as well, because I think sometimes as an author, you almost you start off with certain expectations or certain rules, if you like, and then you feel like, oh no, but I said that this is what I would do, and you feel like you have to do it like that. But actually,
exactly that.
One of the most important thing in life in general is to be able to say, take a deep breath and say, okay, maybe that isn't where I'm meant to go. And and it applies to every situation, but it's that moment of realization where you're allowing yourself to actually take the right path, because the path actually comes almost by itself, doesn't it? Which in a sense, that's what happened with this book as well.
Be kind.
Yeah,
if you can't be kind to yourself.
That's it. We're going back to the be kind. Yes, absolutely. That
and
is...
I just couldn't. When I was trying to get it back on track, I'm sitting there wrestling. I don't realize that it's my story. These are my words. I'm wrestling with myself.
Yeah, I know.
What am I doing?
True. Yeah, it's true.
And all I had to do was go, no, it's okay. You know where you're going. Just let yourself go that way.
A bit of freestyling. Absolutely. Obviously, I'm very glad that that I was able to help you through that. But actually, that brings me to think about the importance of, I suppose, your support team. When you write a book, because people often think about author as living in this isolated bubble, but actually there are a lot of people there that support you, even when they don't know, right? But if you think about your particular journey, can you think about who was your support group through that journey, the people that were there for a reason or
Mhm.
another, yeah, and how they helped you.
My wife, Jude, who has unwavering faith in me, which is more important than anyone can ever mention. My son, Mark, who I've written stories for since he was young, and that seems such a long time ago now. I mean, he's now 30, let's put that in perspective. So I started writing stories for him when he was 3, because he wanted more stories and I couldn't find any. So he said, "Can you write me some?" I went, "Okay." Yeah, but other people as well. My wingman, Lee Swift. You'll never see me at a convention without him. And I say my wingman, he's not. He's the pilot. I'm the wingman. And you need those as well. The people who actually do what you're doing, understand what you're doing, have done what you're doing, understand the pressures of what you're doing as well, and can just go, yeah, exactly that. But then along the way as well, I found other people. Ed Wilson from Johnson and Alcock, wonderful lad, best trousers in fandom. No one can argue that one. There is a man who, if a man wears trousers like that, not afraid of anything. There we go. That's the way.
Trousers. I must see these trousers.
Unbelievable. You can't miss him.
Okay.
You absolutely can't miss him. But man amongst men, I submitted a different story to him, and he came back to me and said, "This one's not for me, but I loved the writing. Don't stop writing." And John Gerald, another agent, and superb man, I submitted another story to him, different story again, so many novels. But he came back and said, "This isn't entirely for me, but it's clear you can write." To hear that from agents of their caliber and to be told you can write, that's the validation every writer ever wants. Someone turns around and says, you can write. But to be told that by people who know what good writers are,
yes, it's true.
Unbelievable. And it gives you the impetus to do that. And that's where I came. And when I spoke to you at EasterCon those years back, I said, no, it's this. And the enthusiasm was there. I know it was. And you went, yeah, actually, I can see you've got an idea. Finish it. And it's the encouragement you need. It's those bits when you sit there and you doubt yourself, because every writer does. And any writer that says they doesn't, lying. Every writer does. But to be told, finish it. You are good at what you do. Finish it.
There are, I suppose, 3 main characters that the readers will immediately come to know, love, and or hate. And they are, of course, Catarina Solovias, which is the character that actually I met first. And I remember thinking when I first read, your proposal, that I was immediately taken with Catarina. She was my kind of gal. And the other one is Captain Morgan, of course, who is another very strong woman at the helm of a spaceship. But when we say ship, we actually mean
ship.
Ship.
Yes, it's got sails. It's a ship.
Exactly. And so let me actually take the opportunity to show you again the magnificent cover made by our Argentinian artist, Rodrigo Vega, who's created this beautiful rendition of the spaceship, and you'll understand exactly what we mean. And finally, last but not least, you got to have him. Is I don't want to spoil him, but we have the inglorious Godstorm, and he is a piece of work to really, just to say the least. So these 3 characters, right? Do you have, I don't know, which one gave you the most fun to write? Or which one is the closest to your heart? Tell us something about these 3.
Well, see, there's the thing, isn't it? Because, I mean, in with the people that support you writing, Catarina is obviously far younger than most of the rest of them. She's literally just stepped out onto the path. And for that, and obviously I have my son Mark, And you see the wide-eyed wonder with which he's always seen things, and the need to be out there and to do things and to see the world, to see the universe, everything else. That whole, but I want to go do something. I don't want to make a name for myself, but I want to go out there. I want to be a part of all this. And that was the driving force behind Catarina. The idea of, no, I can be more than I am. I can be someone. I can be something else. And when it came to Morgan, Morgan is older. She's a lot older. But she's been around. She knows the score. She knows the world. She knows the thing. And as you find, as you go through the book with Morgan, it's still an evolving process. She's still learning about herself even as she goes along. She's been out there for years, decades. But she still finds that same sense of wonder that Catarina does about everything else. And I love the challenge of bringing it more together with the idea of someone who's you've seen it, but it's still an interesting revelation. And then crossed against that, of course, is Godstorm. Now, Godstorm is an unmentionable. There's no better word for him. He's also been out there a long time, but he doesn't care. He's in it for himself, no one else. He'll lie, he'll cheat, he'll steal, he'll kill. He doesn't care. He just wants what's his. And what he believes is his is everything. So the thing about Godstorm is there's a website called TV Tropes, and on that is a subheading called Magnificent Bastard. Mm-hmm. Now, he's certainly a bastard. He's occasionally magnificent, but it's rare. What he is out for himself. And it's a challenge to write a character that's utterly self-centered in that way, because Catarina is utterly selfless. Morgan is guarded, but she still cares for others. Godstorm doesn't care for anything. He just wants what's his. He doesn't care who he has to kill or what he has to destroy in the process. If a civilization falls so that he gets what he wants, he's okay with that. And so the challenge of bringing that together, but then making him believable. He's not a cartoon bad guy.
Yeah.
He's a lot of things, but he's not pants on head crazy.
Yeah.
Which it's not hard to go down that line when you're in this sort of epic level thing. But making him believable, having his plans make sense. He's crazy, but he's not insane.
Now that you've mentioned Godstorm, I believe that the reading you've prepared for us, which is a short reading right from the beginning of the book, has both Catarina and Godstorm in it. Is that right?
It does.
Okay. So I think now it's time to get ready for the reading.
I arrive at the bridge as the captain puts a round through the second officer's heart. This is so not the job I signed on for. I float near the edge of the room and wait for the ensigns to clear the body away, remaining silent while the captain turns, looking me up and down. Newbie. He points to the control panel, where the second officer proved less than bulletproof. There's sparks and smoke emerging from the panel. Fix that. I glide into the room and come down to floor level, as the bridge's gravity brings me back to the deck. I pull the panel off the top and look at the remains of the circuit board underneath. There's some broken wiring, and it looks like unqualified idiots have replaced the patches underneath more than once. This is going to take some time. I glance backwards at the captain, who's looking straight ahead at the main display, and everyone else is studiously avoiding his gaze. First Officer Michaels stood behind the captain, shaking his head slightly as he points at the panel, his hands sounding airless. Just fix it. I've got it, sir. I don't look back to see if the captain's paying attention. I just need to go down to supplies to get another circuit board to patch this up. Fix it, newbie. The captain's voice rings out across the bridge. Don't give me excuses about needing parts. That's what the last engineer did. The last engineer was right, but look where that got them.
John, that was fabulous. You also have a lovely sense of humor as well. And like I said, it's nice. You're quite, it's quite sharp. I like that very much. But Godstorm,
humor should always be good.
Godstorm is a character. I'll tell you. You really get to get the measure of that man just in that scene to begin with. So no, it's beautiful, and Catarina's got the work cut out for her for sure. So listen, John, it's been absolutely a pleasure to have you with us tonight. So I would like to say one more time. So the book is coming out on the 12th of April, and we're going to have a lovely launch party at EasterCon, which this year is going to be held at Heathrow. It's called Reclamation. We are reclaiming EasterCon from COVID, I suppose.
God willing.
Yep, God willing. Yep. And we are already in pre-order, so you can obviously pre-order the book through the Luna Press website, or of course through your usual online retailers. So go for it and discover it. But in the meantime, I would like to say a huge thank you to John. We are delighted to have you in the Luna family for your second project, for your first novel, of course, but also for the novella, Just Add Water, which again would be a good opportunity to grab, you know, do a John Dodd bundle, for example. That was not bad. And yes, so thank you so much for being with us tonight. And thank you, John, for being with us for this aperitif evening with Luna Press. Thank you,
Francesca,
John.
thank you. It's been my genuine pleasure all the way across. It always is. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night.